Welcome back. Today we are going to discuss the importance of reading trade journal or industry journal for applied scientists or entrepreneurs. So the way I want to do it is not through the usual slides and all the points and all this thing. Rather, I will pick a industry journal for relevant to me, which is the Imaging Technology News. This is the website, and I will go through the magazine in rough way. Not line by line reading, but rather I want to just portray what are the typical information or content that is given in this kind of typical journal, so that you can make sense why you want to read this kind of journal as a applied scientist, working in a university or in a company or an entrepreneur. So this is the I think it is June and May and June version, something like that, and this is, I think, twice in a month they publish this journal magazine. And of course in the website you can take lot of other, you can get a lot of other information, blogs, and some, I think there are some video interviews also. But I believe that reading magazine is a little bit old fashioned maybe, but still it is a useful thing, because then you can read, let's say, twice in a month the new updated version, and that will keep you updated rather than just going into the website, because website contain technically everything. You can go through all their blogs and all these things, so that information is too much maybe to consume. So let's go to the content, because these are advertised. So typically this is the content for this version: imaging section, and then information technology, business, women's health, and departments. This is not important. So in generally there will be aspect of societal, doing good for society and all this thing, and then of course business, and then of course dedicated to some technology which will be our interest in this case. So at first there is an interview with a lady who is a radiologist, and so basically there is a basic question like, what can you tell us about the latest advancement and how you see those impacting women's health and radiology practices in future. Basic question, and then some answer. That is the format. You can see. Now next part is radiation dose management, market overview, and product updates. So this is something I want to show specifically. So first of all, there will be some overview of developments, and then this is the important part where they will provide for the new products that have been launched in the market by various companies. Like here you can see the name of the companies: GE Healthcare, etc. And so let's go through. Maybe this will be a little bit focused to my specific domain of research, but which may not be your interest, but still let me just read it a bit, then you will get a flavor of what kind of information in general you will get. Let's say in your case, if you choose to read your some sort of journal, the magazine for your research domain. For example, in semiconductor industry, there will be certainly some magazine, maybe not one, maybe a lot of them. So anyway, so radiation dose management, market overview, and product updates. Christine book, estimated to be worth of 343 million in 2023. The market is poised to reach 654 million by 2028, driving a CAGR of 13.8% from 2023 to 2028, according to a report by Markets and Markets. So this is a interesting a company. They do this kind of thing where they do this analysis of market and all these things. So this is the website. According to reports by Markets and Markets, so that is the report that they had. They had provided these informations. Analysts identified key growth drivers led by a surge in the utilization of medical imaging modalities propelled by raising incidence of chronic diseases. As healthcare demands increase, the prevalence of diagnostics and interventional procedures involving ionizing radiation such as X-ray or CT scans is on the rise. Additionally, there is a growing awareness regarding the radiation dose management practices among healthcare professionals and patients, further emphasizing the need for comprehensive solution. Now they will go on giving various examples where various companies had come up with some software as well as some hardware products. So for example, Radiometrics is Bayer's contrast dose management platform, which offers support from point of care through a post procedure, helping to automate manual processes, directly impacting key areas of complete radiology workflow. In describing its Radiometric version 3.0, so this is a software they are talking about. Similarly, I think I have so this is the website of the company. Maybe not that important here. For example, Team Play Dose from Siemens Healthineers provide easy access to dose data, supports the quality assurance process for monitoring imaging radiation dosage, and offers additional advantages including lower infrastructure and maintenance cost and benefit from continuous feature release. So this is also a software. Meridian Technology made news in November 2023 when it debuted its new InstaDose VUE personal dosimeter. So this is a hardware actually. So now the more interesting stuff here. So now they had given a chart here where each company, various companies had released their product related to radiation dose management. And matter of fact, these are actually can be medical device as well as software. So for example, GE Healthcare has released Dose Watch Enterprise, and that is a medical device itself, not a software. For example, so here in the category you can see FDA cleared year, CE mark approval. CE is actually I think it is an European sort of thing. We can check here. CE is the presence of the logo on commercial product indicate that manufacturers or importer affirms the goods conformity with European health, safety and environmental protection standard. It is not a quality indicator or a certification mark. So that is the definition of CE, and you may have seen a lot of product, even smaller, food products also has this CE mark, and I think that is, of course, this is European, and I think in Indian context there are a lot of other, it is different, and there is of course, I don't remember exactly, but anyway. And so for example, this must be in software, and this is applied to various modalities like PET, MR, CT, and then of course other digital radiography, etc. So so that's what it is, and for each modality how that can use something, a lot of information here you can see, but overview wise the magazine will provide you that this is the trend that is going on, and people, the various industry players are coming up with these innovative solutions, software and hardware solution to this problem. So each paragraph here, each column here will describe that why this is a new trend and all these things. So for example, this is a radiation dose management is a new trend because people are more and more using this CT and X-ray and all this thing for various purposes, and we know that these had a radiation exposure, they had a harmful effect little bit, so people want to know how much it is actually. So in that case the management becomes very important, and there is a huge amount of research goes into dose, how the dose can be defined, and how and depending on various tissue its effect get changed, like so yeah. Now next stuff will be news and products. So here you can see Philips launch a new Horizon neuro biplane system. So let me show you the website. Okay, so this is the TeamView Team Play Dose, that is the software from Siemens Healthineers, the previous section that I am describing, and InstaDose from GE, I think, or maybe some other company. Yeah, so this is the instrument that we are talking about. Yeah, so here you can see there is a video, and let me just read through here. So Philips recently announced major enhancement to its image guided therapy system Azurion with the launch of its new Azurion neuro biplane system. The interventional system, according to a statement released by the company, offers a wide range of features including enhanced 2D and 3D imaging and X-ray detector positioning flexibility and enhanced C-arm rotation. In addition, the enhanced system offers angulation parking facility for transitioning between 2D and 3D imaging, comprehensive table side control, eliminating the need to leave the sterile field, as well as automatic beam rotation to obtain correctly oriented images for every angulation and rotation, etc., etc. So here in this section, so this is a different kind of section, different content, where they highlight, basically the magazine highlights the various companies they are coming out with interesting products. So this is good to know. Maybe not in for example, certainly this is not exactly related to my research, but if I want to be a good application applied scientist, then knowledge of various other or close by fields are always good to have, then you can position yourself or research in a much better way. Second thing is Clarius received CE mark certification for PAL HD3 wireless handheld scanner. So this is a ultrasound handheld scanner, and they say that so report is basically that they get a CE certification, that means European certification. So for other is Siemens Healthineers announces FDA clearance of CIARTIC Move self-driving mobile C-arm. So I think this is yeah, so this is a CT system, and it is actually used by the medical professional to do surgery, to do the X-ray within the surgical procedure, so I maybe this example maybe you may not remember, but there is a movie, I think it's a Doctor Strange movie. So there I think the first movie of Doctor Strange, where they're checking the X-ray image or CT scan image, and in between I think it's a bullet, they are removing a bullet and they are doing a CT scan altogether, or something like that. So that is an example of doing CT scan in the time of surgery itself, so that it can help these surgeons to perform the surgery in a better way. So in one authentic example from here will be, that surgeon have to remove certain part of the organ because those are basically lesions that can become a cancerous lesion, so in that case they need this particular instrument. So that is the application. I think this EXO work, this is a software most probably, Yeah, ultrasound software, yes. GE Healthcare elevated LOGIQ ultrasound system portfolio showcased in yeah, a lot of more information. Body Vision Medical announces successful validation of lung vision system with Fujifilm's range of surgical C-arm. I think this is Body Vision Medical, a leader of AI-driven interoperative imaging. Lung vision system using artificial AI to transform X-ray images from a C-arm into real-time intraoperative CT scan. Okay, so maybe this is okay. Sorry, this is not intraoperative. Most probably FDA. Maybe this is just 2D fluorescence and 3D cone beam on computed tomography. Okay, so I was talking about this one, intraoperative imaging, where within this operation surgical procedure they do the online X-ray, and then and X-ray is very it's a very useful procedure actually. It can give you very good resolution images, so compared to like CT and compared to PET and SPECT and all this thing. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. Next we have digital radiography, and basically the top 7 trends had been discussed, like according to the writer here. One trend is wireless and portable system, so users are more interested in having a product or digital radiography system with wireless and portable feature, so which will help if it is a portable, then it can be taken to a particular site, and then of course the data can be wirelessly transferred to the station, the computer station. Other aspect trend is use of AI, and AI can be used in various ways, from the segmentation and various other things to managing the data and all this thing. Dose optimization and radiation safety, this is something people are more getting conscious about that, and the healthcare providers are also interested in giving you a more better user experience related to that, in terms of safety, or at least to portray that it is a safe system, or whatever you are going through is a safe method, because as a background, in a background also you get a lot of radiation from the nature, so it's not like just X-rays giving you a lot of radiation. So in that case it's better to have a quantitative measure, like through this CT scan you get this much radiation exposure, which is equivalent to, let's say, this much natural radiation, etc. These are small thing, from an user experience point of view. And of course here they are talking about software, maybe various other thing. Cloud-based imaging solution, and I think this is very much important, because it will facilitate a lot of let's say radiography scan had been performed in some hospital, and the doctor need to collaborate with his other doctor in some other hospital, so they can if the cloud computing or cloud-based imaging solution is provided, then that can be done. Enhanced workflow integration, yes, various other things. Focus on patient-centric care, emerging application and new market. So digital radiography doesn't need to be it's not something that used in healthcare, but there are other applications, like especially non-destructive, industrial non-destructive testing, security screening, etc. Similar to the other section, here also you can see various company and their products, and then various useful information like FDA clearance and type of system, software features, and detector material, and then dimension, various other thing. So I'm going to, you can check that thing depending on your need, or I'm just giving you, you can be from different background, different research fields. So in that case, so I hope in your industry journal also, or sorry, journal, industry magazine also, you will have similar kind of things. So I'm just giving you a glimpse of what are the things that one can expect in these magazines, and these are important because it will give you the updated information that these are the trends and these are the new products that companies are proposing, or releasing, and if you are an entrepreneur, then you will get these sense that that these are the things that are features that needed to be incorporated in your devices or in your products. So in generally, in to do business, it's not just the invention that are important, but like those small process reform or process innovation, that small innovation that needed to be performed on the same equipment to make it more user friendly, and then to have a better competitive advantage compared to, let's say, other similar kind of product but from other companies. So yeah, now I will not spend too much of time into that. Now we'll go into information technology, digital transformations. So here there is a column here written by person Jeff Williams, who is president of Paragon Health IT. So he is explaining an interesting thing, and although that may not be interesting for us as a specific researcher, but that's the thing about this kind of magazine, that you'll get a lot of different kind of information. So here he is describing something called the workload on the healthcare professional. So recent findings from a National Institute of Health indicate a distressing trend in which 12.9% of patient safety indicates incidents are linked to provider stress, with an alarming 30.6% of these incidents resulting in severe harm, prompting urgent investigation. So what he is talking about is that that we know that in hospitals there are, depending on the disease, patient can go through a lot of tests and all this thing, and it produces a lot of digital data. So now almost everything is digital, and now for a healthcare professional, for him the tasks are very much repetitive, and since there are a lot of patients, so it becomes very cumbersome also, very stressful situation. So in that case, a lot of mistake happen, different kind of mistake, and that leads to very alarming situation for the patients also, like maybe report from one patient get mixed with other and all these things. So these are basically a very common thing that happen in various healthcare institutions. So for example, to give you the amount of data that had been produced is, so I think this is in USA context, 30% of the world's healthcare data is basically totally is of 30% of the world's stored data, and there is actually 137 TB of data generated per day. So that's a huge amount of data. So here he talks about so talks about something called let me read it. Consider a routine healthcare encounter where a provider captures an image from an mobile device and includes it in a patient's electronic health record as a macro workflow. In contrast, micro workflow deconstruct this process into discrete steps For example, identifying the patient within EHR, capturing the image, inputting relevant metadata from the encounter, and seamlessly sharing the image with the patient's care team when necessary. So he's talking about an approach called micro workflow, which is different from the existing method like macro workflow. So I think I mean, it's hard to understand because I'm not from this field, and but we can understand that it's something like rather than doing everything as a whole, so you just do in a patient specific way and maybe on site, like, so let's say we are taking CT scan data for a particular patient, and then we'll log into some computer and go to the patient directory, and then or some portal, and then stored there, so it's kind of a software based solution will be needed for that, I believe. So here also he's talking about effectively breaking down complex traditional clinical process into micro workflow requires an imaging ecosystem orchestrator that can isolate and automate tasks across clinical, IT, and artificial intelligence applications. Examples of micro workflow in action include orchestration and monitoring of AI algorithms that assess and prioritize imaging studies according to clinical urgency, for example, stroke cases, to significantly reduce response time. They also enable real-time EHR EURIS inquiries, I think, to support encounter-based imaging workflow like point-of-care ultrasound to automatically associate imaging data with a patient chart and support billing workflows. Yeah, so a little bit different aspect, but maybe interesting for us. And I think as an entrepreneur, we all have to learn these various other thing about business. It's not just the technology or the invention that are important, but these are also very key direction of development needed to be done to make the product successful actually. So you will see that a lot of companies are nowadays more focused on these things actually. So I'll go into next section, and this is information technologies impact on tomorrow's health. Yeah, so this is sort of a conference or maybe symposium within a bigger conference where it had been so basically they are giving overview of that. The session message centered on how, due to an increased demand to reduce administrative burdens, increasing operational efficiencies, and leverage data to deliver better patient care, healthcare organizations are adopting technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and advanced analytics capabilities so that clinical staff can focus more on care delivery. So now there are a lot of theoretical aspects, so I will go to the example what it basically means. 3 variables for new technology. We have a tendency to paint AI with just a single brush, and it is not, explained Wolf, the speaker here. It is not because there are no silver bullets. First of all, in terms of anything that we are going to do, no technology is going to solve all our problems. Technology alone doesn't do anything. It is people, process, technology, all this have to come together, because if we can't figure out the right way to integrate AI, it is going to make a difference, but it is not going to matter. Yeah, so I think so now this looks very I mean, what he is saying here may look very confusing, but I think from a technology or so this is actually CEO talking. I mean, and in fact he is the CEO of some organization, so it's more of a like for us it is more of very focused development of something, some software or some hardware development. But to make a company work or to make a successful product, there has to be more overview needed, like someone needed who is overviewing thing in a more broader perspective, not just from a technology or scientific perspective, but rather, or engineering perspective, rather from an user point of view, or rather from an delivery point of view, rather from a money point of view that is needed, to buy, the price of the product and all these things. So on that context, this is sort of a comment that we can relate here, that he's talking about basically that AI is not like that every problem has a AI solution. It is not like that. Rather, you need to understand that there is a hardware, there is a software, conventional form of software. Now to make a whole thing or more bigger problem work or in a very efficient way, or solve various let's say specific problems, various bottlenecks, you need to deploy various AI algorithms. That's the point he is talking about. We'll break down into three variables. First, small devices and outputs. Second, operational applications to manage and improve throughput. And third, high level application that start to use and get into the components of clinical decisions. So this is, I think, very good. I think I'm very impressed by this writing here. Whatever the person said. So small devices such as smart watches and smart rings are propagating and improving in terms of sensitivity and capability, but it is a microcosm. He said it starts to give me an individual a look at how I am and my activities and how my health is performing. When I can bring them together into a group, you start to see population health coming together. Second variable is getting into machine learning in AI applications being developed and delivered across our capabilities for the delivery of better outcomes in hospitals and systems. So this is the second thing. Finally comes the clinical decision support. It is within the domain of clinical decision support that we are going to have to very carefully and calculations and assumptions and biases. We cannot put them all under one bucket, or we are going to soothe ourselves too quickly, because all the capabilities that we need are brought forward. So I think these are generally, he said a lot of things here, but I think it makes sense to some extent. I'm not a AI person. I don't do any kind of machine learning or AI like kind of research, but still I can understand that, there are some emerging trends that had been discussed. Remote sensing technology. Siemens Healthineers discussed the recent US Food and Drug Administration's FDA clearance of Syngo Virtual Cockpit, its private secure communication platform for real-time image visualization, acquisition and collaboration between healthcare professionals across multiple sites at HIMSS 24. The software enables users to connect to computed tomography, CT, magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, positron emission tomography, PET, single photon emission, CT, SPECT, PET CT, SPECT CT, PET MRI scanners from Siemens Healthineers and other equipment vendors regardless of location. So I think this is very good thing, because I know for a fact that that it is very good in a sense that from my experience also, I know that let's say our scanner is basically, or your scanner is basically hosted by some hospital now, but the reconstruction professional, that means the researcher who are focused on doing reconstruction from the data that we get from the scanner is actually in some university, so he needs to have that remote access actually. So these are important, and also it will facilitate better patient care, and collaboration between doctors and all this thing. Digital pathology technology. So pathology basically the pathological test and all this thing, blood and various spectrum of thing like cancer test. Also there are part of cancer test which is pathology related. So Fujifilm Healthcare America's corporation recently entered into an agreement to digitize the pathology departments of 3 healthcare organizations: University Health Network, UVA Health, and Boston Children's Hospital, using its Synapse Pathology Comprehensive Pathology PACS solution that streamline case management through the proprietary advances in image digitization to accelerate case turnaround time. A lot of things. I think it's more about that, pathology, let's say in old days or maybe nowadays also, it's more about testing thing on microscope and and prepare a sample on a slide and all this thing, glass slide and all things. So here they are talking about, let's say, maybe an equipment which can take a snapshot of the image automatically, sort of thing. I think so. That's the point here. And cybersecurity, I'm not interested. So there is also interesting aspect like healthcare collaboration. Philips and Amazon Web Services. Philips announced an expanded collaboration with Amazon Web Services to address the growing need for secure, scalable digital pathology solution in the cloud during HIMSS 24. Similarly, Konica Minolta and AWS Health Imaging, they also have some collaboration. So it's more like AWS basically they have cloud computing resources and all these things. So so it's related to that. This is interesting. This again is not of interest for me as such, but it's good to know that. So here they are talking about that there is something called priority authorization. So like, let's say that certain scanner needed to be, whether they should use it or not. So I think in Indian context I don't know about it, but from here where I'm right now in Netherlands, basically in some lectures they talk about this thing that like, let's say there is a patient in the hospital, and whether depending on the stage of the disease, or let's say cancer and all thing, what kind of test they will go through, not just from the point of view of the best outcome for the patient, but rather other priorities also, how to use the resources in optimized way. Because here the healthcare basically is you have to pay your medical insurance, so everyone have to, by law, have to pay medical insurance and all this thing, and then rest of when you get sick you don't have to pay anything literally. So that's why the question is how to use the resources in optimized way. So they are showing a lot of softwares where, depending on various input parameters, they can decide whether that patient will go through a PET scan or SPECT scan or some CT scan or not, because those scanners are also, or particular scan is expensive, or let's say the resource is limited, let's say to some extent, so priority authorization will be like, these are these parameters, so let's apply. So the doctor have to apply for and then it should get approved and all this thing. So rather it will so rather they are talking about an alternative system called clinical decision support. So I'm just giving, I had given already an example that automatically one can, rather than waiting for authorization, they can calculate with a software like let's say greater than 5.5. if the output is then the patient should go through the PET scan, or something like that. So that's the alternative example. So better authorization to burdensome prior authorization. A better alternative to burdensome prior authorization. That's interesting. Yeah. So yeah. Now this section is more related to clinical aspect. So maybe a medical professional will be interested in reading it. So it's basically discusses how dense breast tissue can be imaged, or non-invasively, how we can image in different ways, and then how we can make a good judgment of, let's say, certain disease or other thing. So I think they are talking about mammogram and then ultrasound. So here also you can see ultrasound offers a supplemental scan and peace of mind in its ability to find the pathology, and almost instantaneously distinguishes a benign cyst from a possible or definite cancer. So it's not just one modality that will give image. So I remember in this context a discussion with my colleague. Actually there was actually paper published by a lot of authors throughout the world where they are discussing that the X-ray CT imaging that had been done for, let's say, breast cancer imaging or breast scan and all this thing, they have found that the outcome of the scans, or let's say, and subsequent clinical decision and all this thing doesn't lead to let's say increased lifetime of the patient, something like that. I don't remember exactly the detail, but it was related, or it was more about that the outline is the X-ray CT technology is not giving the overall good result. It's not saving patients or on an average. So in that context, so we can realize that it's quite difficult, and especially in breast imaging, depending on various modality. I mean, from a physicist point of view, we understand that so basically various tissue will look a little bit different depending on the energy of the X-ray and all this thing, and it will give different contrast and all this thing. But then how that relate to the pathology of the breast tissues and all this thing, that is quite different thing. So there has to be correlation there, and and then of course with the technology get changed, like if we are using, let's say, ultrasound or maybe some other MRI and all this thing, then it will be different. So it all depends on how the radiologist or the medical profession medical professionals, how they basically conclude the result, or make the decision. That leads to something and maybe something. So it's a very complex field, and so here they are sort of given an example. A lot of images, and I'm not really too much interested. They're talking about some collaboration with various doctors. They will see the images and they will come up with some decision, or maybe independent decision, and something like that. In this context, we all remember that a lot of doctors, depending on various cases, if that cases are very complicated, then they will always take a second opinion with their other doctor, that I come up with this decision, what do you think? So it's a very complex field. I must say that it's from a physicist or maybe an engineering point of view, this may all look simple, but from an overall point of view, like to providing, let's say, the real solution, that means whether we are able to, our technology is able to save the lifetime of a patient, after, let's say, a radiotherapy or something like that, or similar sort of thing, or some therapeutic treatment, all this thing. whether the lifetime is increased or not. On average we can increase or not. So that's the main goal of all of us actually, and if you are not achieving that, then there is no point of doing this thing. So from a physicist point of view, like, oh yeah, so this is the X-ray and these are the energies, we can change the energy, we can change the exposure time and reconstruction, yeah, exposure, if it is increased exposure then some artifact and all these things. So that's the our domain of research, but there is a bigger picture that we need to understand. So that's something we can see here. Yeah, that's the end of it. And here we can see, yeah, some information. According to information from National Institutes of Health, the daily average of analyzed imaging procedures per radiologist are 7.4 for bone X-ray images, 4.8 chest X-rays, ultrasound 2.2, CT 7.5, MRI 2.2. Okay, 684 hours. Yeah, that's a lot of hours. I don't know, I can't understand here what's the whether it is like within 1 month or 1 year. Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, maybe not that useful here. Yes, here something like, AI, we are clearly going to see the impact of AI. Not only will our lives change, but how we practice medicine will change. What I would like to propose is that there is no specialty more prepared for this change. Change create a lot of emotion, but one it should not invoke is fear. So they are talking about, I think, diagnostic imaging and all this thing. Yeah, that's the end of it. And then finally there is some advertisement sort of thing. I think this is a software and they are talking about the outline, skin outline. Yeah, something, I think they are using some artist spots medical grade foam backing, elevate it from the skin line. Anyway, so this sort of technology which helps, let's say, maybe the understand the what is the boundary of breast, or maybe some organ, or maybe, yeah, a lot of things. So yeah, that's the sort of advertisement in the end. Yeah, so that's it. That's all about the magazine. So what my aim was, maybe I stretched it too much, but I was more interested in giving a glimpse of what in general is the type of content that you may expect from a industry or trade journal like that. And as an entrepreneur, or maybe an applied scientist or applied physicist, whatever you are, you may be interested to I mean apart from reading the journals and all these things, those are okay, but here we can see that it's not just focused development or invention of certain thing, but rather there is a way more bigger picture, and you need to understand, if not fully understand, but appreciate various other important aspects also that drives the potential or the need of the technology, or how the technology needed to be invented, or what are the features technology should have in its core, as a core value, so that it can be in future can be deployed in a successful way. That is something I believe is important, that we can learn if we keep or develop a habit of reading this kind of magazine. A lot of things will be not too much of directly important for our research maybe, but yeah, it is a good practice, I believe. So yeah, that's it about the video, and see you in the next week.